Going on, folks? We got Kitty. Meow. Good entrance. Good entrance for the kitty. All right, so today is part 8? Part 8 of the... Oh, hold on, let me get a chair. I should have gotten that before. Part 8 of the horror Blu-ray collection. So, we're going to get started here in a moment. I'm looking for a chair. Hold on one sec. Sorry, folks. There we are. Hello again. 'Tis I. All right, so today we are going to do part 8 of the horror Blu-ray collection. We are getting down to the nitty-gritty. I think we left off right here. No pun intended. Right here. Last week, that's right. Last week we did this shelf here up to Rings. And today we're going to do starting with the right, but we'll go over the ones on the top as we usually do. And then we've got 3 more shelves to go. Sorry this is taking so long, folks. With the new job, I don't have too much time at all to do much. So, with all the different things I've got going on. So with that said, I hope you guys are ready for another edition of the Blu-ray collection here. Part 8. And if you want to see more streams like this, I'm doing 1 a week at this point. I'm going to solidify that as a scheduled thing, actually, I think, since I've been doing them every Monday and every Thursday, it seems. So that I'm going to try to do those 2 days for about an hour to 2 hours each of those days. And I'm going to put that in writing somewhere on the channel so that it becomes a more common thing. Some people have pointed out that when I do these live streams with my front camera, all of a sudden, for the last few, it's mirroring the image. Let me know if you've experienced that the whole time I've been doing this, or if that's a new phenomena. It was just pointed out to me by a subscriber. Thank you for doing that. I appreciate it because I'm kind of looking into the issue now to see what's up with that. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it is disorienting when watching. So, all right, guys, without further ado, let's jump right into the horror collection. All right. Here we have Monster Brawl, a movie that on paper should be the greatest film of all time. I'm a monster fan. I'm a fan of the pro wrestling world, professional wrestling. The WWF, WWE, WCW, all that stuff. My era was the 90s, but I love watching 80s, 90s wrestling still to this day. And this sells itself as a pay-per-view. Not unlike the old days where you'd have an HBO pay-per-view, SummerSlam, and you'd spend $20 or whatever, and you'd get the entire pay-per-view. This is it kind of plays like that. It has the setup, the structure of one of those, but none of the fun. Now, very little of the fun. Again, this is just monsters brawling, one-on-one, mano-y-mano, one at a time. And sorry guys, a little dark. Get some lights going. And it just, unfortunately, doesn't work very well. I think this is a fun movie to put on, like at a Halloween party or something like that, where you don't really have to pay attention. You look over, you see like a vampire beating up a mummy or something, and you're like, okay, well, it's Halloween, I guess. But to sit down and watch this by yourself is a rather pitiful experience, I gotta be honest. With people, it would have been more fun, because you would have been able to make fun of it. But Monster Brawl, I'm happy to have it in the collection because I do want to give it another shot with a couple friends at some point. But it's not great. It's really not great, despite them having, some names here. Dave Foley, Art Hindle, Herb Dean, Kevin Nash, Lance Henriksen. So some wrestlers as well, but not the best. Not the best. Next up, we have Mad Monster Party. Blu-ray plus DVD combo pack. So, Mad Monster Party is actually a Rankin and Bass film. Rankin and Bass are known for their Christmas classics, but they also did an underrated and underappreciated Halloween classic. I've only seen this once. It was a very long time ago. I think I've seen it. I'm at that age where I start... You know what? I don't think I've seen this, if I'm being quite honest. It's not ringing a bell in my mind, so we're going to go with haven't seen this. But it says right down there, from the creators of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and Frosty the Snowman. I've definitely seen videos, images of this throughout the 90s and up to this point. But I've never sat down, I don't think I've ever sat down and actually watched the damn thing. So I do want to rectify that maybe this October. I have been watching nothing but horror films since October, or since August 1st, and I think that's going to carry through October. I have the horror bug bad, and I think that's because I hadn't watched any horror since last October, which is unlike me. I usually have 2 bouts of horror throughout the year, one in the summer, one in October, and this one kind of hit me in the middle of those 2 periods, and I'm just like knee deep in horror. I started with modern stuff, and now I'm watching a lot of 80s stuff, and yeah, so much good stuff. Here we have Muck, just Muck. The Luck E1s are already dead. I don't know. This was Dollar Tree or thrift shop for $1, cheap. Doesn't really give too much away here on the back. It looks super atmospheric, but that's a whole bunch of color coding and color correction in post to make the box look interesting. Looks like the Sin City horror version of Sin City or something. Yeah, I don't know much about Muck, but I think it's like killer dirt or something. Emerge from the thick, murky darkness, marshes. Yeah, who knows? It's not supposed to be very good. But I need to figure that out for myself. Damn it. Here we have Monkey Shines, a George Romero film that not too many people talk about these days. Back in my day, in the aughts, when a lot of people were rediscovering horror because of the dawn of the internet and the accessibility of looking up films, researching films. It was such an addictive thing in the early part of the internet. Something that, not everybody these days is going to really understand. We would be spelunking the internet trying to find these weird little films. And this was one of those films that I found. And it interested in me because it was George Romero, director of, as you can see there, Dawn of the Dead, Creepshow, Night of the Living Dead, Day of the Dead, Bruiser. Sorry, that one just came off the top of my head there. This one is a good movie. It is a killer monkey kind of movie. This guy, it's almost got like a Misery vibe to it at points, because this guy is injured and he has a monkey that helps him do things, and then the monkey starts torturing him psychologically, and it's pretty over the top. A bit, as far as I remember, it was a bit hard to take super seriously. It's like Link. Richard Franklin's Link is so off the wall. That, you kind of just have to laugh, even if it's a nervous laughter. But Monkey Shines isn't a bad movie. I remember enjoying it. Here we have, I sold these DVDs off like over a decade ago and picked up the Blu-ray, again, over a decade ago. I have no idea what this thing's going for these days. It could, you never know. It could be going for nothing. It could be going for $85, $86. Who knows? Maybe even $87. So, Mommy double feature here. 25th anniversary widescreen double feature featuring Patty McCormick. Patty McCormick played the Bad Seed. She was the little girl in the Bad Seed. And then she gets to grow up and play in a series of films, at least 2, that deal with her being a mother. And the trials and tribulations of that. I think these are 90s films, if I'm not mistaken. It says 94 and 96. I think that's about right. So that's pretty cool. I do need to check those out at some point. But, man, those are obscure. Not many people talk about those. Here we have Mr. Brooks, a pretty good psychological thriller starring Kevin Costner. He doesn't do too much horror. He did The New Daughter and Mr. Brooks. As far as I know, those are the 2 horror films he's done, and they were both good. This one is his best, though, I would say. Very psychological, very dark and twisted. It deals with split personalities, and Dane Cook is in this as a pesky witness, it says on the back. That's perfect. Who just kind of chides this serial killer, kind of lets him know, he knows what's up. He knows what Kevin Costner's character is up to. And, yeah, it's got some twists and turns. It's a solid psychological thriller, humanist horror kind of film. And William Hurt, Demi Moore, all good performances there. Here we have Intruder, a film that I have a soft spot for. I really enjoy this this little late night chiller. You know, I remember catching this on HBO late one night in the early aughts and really falling in love with it. And then I learned that it was the director, his name was Scott Spiegel, and he actually helped co-write, or he co-wrote Evil Dead, I believe 1 and 2. I know 2 for a fact, but 1, I believe he also helped write. So it also brings back, Sam Raimi is actually, he has a role in this. Renee Estevez has a role in this. Bruce Campbell has a role in this. So it's got a whole bunch of names and faces you recognize, but this is just a solid slasher film that takes place in a grocery store overnight. A fun whodunit type of slasher that'll have you guessing throughout the movie. Some really good and inventive kills, good atmosphere. It's a little bottle movie, low budget, but really effective. Gore and great score, and just very 80s, very 80s in its affectations, and I really enjoy it. I think it says 88 on the back, but I believe it's 89. Yeah, 80. Okay, there it is, 89. All right, next up we have The Mist, which is the 2-disc collector's edition. This is the edition that has the black and white cut. And I gotta say, I feel like the black and white cut really does this movie a service and invokes that 50s monster movie vibe that this goes for, but it's not a B movie. This is a serious horror film with serious effects, great performances, and it sort of serves as a little microcosm for the way that civilization forms, the way that politics play out, the way that rifts form between factions. And it's really a little microcosm of just the political human as a phenomenon. And it's a really fun movie with great effects and one of the endings of all time. One of the great endings of all time in my book. Some people think it's ridiculous. Some people laugh. A guy I work with named James actually said he watched this recently and he just laughed at the end. That wasn't my reaction. I find that younger people have a hard time taking things serious for a multitude of reasons that are both cultural and societal and political. But this movie, when I saw the ending, my jaw hit the floor. I was like, oh my God, you got to be kidding me. No. But this is such a great film, and I really enjoy it in black and white. So I would recommend going out and checking it out and getting the collector's edition, which has both cuts. Here we have Superstition, a movie that I've yet to see, but if the movie's at all as good as its cover, which is, in my opinion, one of the best covers of the 80s. Like, look at the ethereal nature of this. It's just a beautiful painting. It's also haunting. What's up, Jolly Good? Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you stopping in, as usual. But, yeah, check out the cover of this. I love the original poster here. Again, if the film is even half as good as the poster, I'll enjoy it. 1982, my favorite year of film. This came out. There's still so many movies that I have yet to see that came out in 1982. Such a great year for cinema. I can go on and on. I still need to do a live stream or a video one day about all the great films that came out in 82. Not just horror, just all sorts of films. So here we have Stitch. I believe this was, yeah, again, either a thrift store. You know me, most of this stuff came from a thrift store. But it's got that real modern kind of low-budget vibe to it. I guess it has Edward Furlong in it, but there you go. This came out in 2014. Yeah, I'm not expecting much from that, but hey, you never know. You never know. All right, next up. All right, I just want to say thank you guys for checking into this live stream. Feel free to hit that thumbs up if you are enjoying it. And we're going to dive right back into the horror collection. Stitch the Alien. Yeah, exactly. Stitch. Here we have a nice little movie. Not a bad film. I like a good exorcism film. And this is a solid one with great performances, obviously. Anthony Hopkins in an exorcist film. Sign me up. Anytime he returns to horror, I sign up for that and I watch it. I love magic. You know, he doesn't do too much horror. Obviously, Silence of the Lambs and etc. But this one is a really fun movie. Not bad. Fun might not be the word, but it's a dark and brooding exorcist film with some twists and turns and good performances by Colin O'Donoghue, that's his name. Alice Braga, or Kieran Hines is in this. Rutger Hauer, Anthony Hopkins, a whole bunch of heavy hitter veteran actors there. A lot of genre actors too. So really cool. Definitely check this out, guys. I don't want to talk about, the twists and turns. Obviously, I don't want to dig too deep into the plot, but it's definitely an exorcism film that's come out in the last 20 years, which is worth watching. Here we have Rogue. This is just a killer croc movie, an Australian one by Greg McLean, the director of Wolf Creek, which everybody loves. I think Wolf Creek is pretty good. It's not necessarily the type of horror that I love most. Crazy guy kind of torturing people. But I appreciate it for what it is, and it is a bit of a cultural phenomenon, and definitely helped put Ozploitation or Aussie horror back on the map. And this is from the same director, and it has an actress I really enjoy. Her name is Radha Mitchell. She was in Silent Hill and a bunch of other genre stuff, Visitors by Richard Franklin. She pops up in a lot of Australian films as well as American films, English-speaking films, we'll say. But this is a decent little movie that features the death spiral of the crocs there, or alligator. I can't differentiate. It says crocodile on the back. We'll go with that. But this is a fun little Aussie Nature Strikes Back movie. I enjoy it, and it gets right to the action. It doesn't waste any time. Here we have a remake, actually, a miniseries event, a remake here, with Zoe Saldana playing the Mia Farah character. And this is a miniseries I've yet to watch, but it looks interesting. It looks a little too clean for my taste. I like the film graininess of the 70s, of course, and late 60s, but that's just me. This was from 2014. I would like to give it a shot. I am a fan of the story, so why not? Again, guys, I picked up most of these for next to nothing. Here we have Salem Witch Trials. Again, another weird one that I'm not even sure if it's horror. I'm to what extent it is horror. It looks like a period piece that takes place in Salem, obviously during the witch trials. Rebecca De Mornay, Kristen Booth, Shirley MacLaine, Peter Ustinov, and Kirstie Alley is the lead, it looks like, in this film. So Joseph Sargent actually directs this. He was a 70s director, 80s director. I'm blanking. Did he do Dirty Dozen? I forget. But yeah, Salem Witch Trials I've yet to see, guys. Salem's Lot, a classic Stephen King adaptation here. One of the earliest Stephen King adaptations. This came out in 79, so it was on the coattails of Carrie. And I think Salem's Lot is a solid horror film. I have yet to see it, let me rephrase. I haven't seen it in decades at this point. I want to say I last watched it when I was in my teens, and so it's probably been a couple decades, so I do need to rewatch this, but it is a bit longer. It's a miniseries, so it's the first Stephen King miniseries, actually, that hit television and became a phenomenon all throughout the 80s and 90s. When I grew up, we were still gathering around the TV anytime there was a Stephen King miniseries that hit the airwaves, like Langoliers, which scared the hell out of me, funnily enough. But yeah, you have an Orlok-inspired vampire here. Classic Stephen King. Fascinated with it. Writer fascinated with an old hilltop house, suave antiques dealer. You'll have your colorful characters as per usual. And this is an early Tobe Hooper film. Obviously he did Texas Chainsaw Massacre in 74. Then he would do Eaten Alive in 77. And then I believe he did this in 79. I might be missing a film in between those, but he had quite the run of horror films there, which would continue pretty much his whole career. Here we have, look at that awesome 70s cover right there. Such a unique style of painting. It's so creepy and eerie. Satan's Cheerleaders. What a great title. And some veteran actors there. Yvonne DiCarlo, John Carradine, John Ireland. I've yet to see this one, guys, but this is a very 80s, 70s movie, if you catch my drift. It came out in the late 70s and kind of bridges that gap between late 70s and early 80s horror with a lot of boobs and hot chicks and blood and gore, which was emblematic of the 80s. But I don't know much about this, guys. I mean, Evil cheerleader. A satanic altar at the high school bodes ill will for the students. Bill, the janitor, decides he's had enough of the cheerleaders teasing. When he brings them to the altar, it's not the chapel of love. 92 minutes. This sounds great. Sounds like my kind of 70s stuff that has a tongue in its cheek, satirical even. So, yeah, definitely want to check that one out. This was put out by VCI. Next up, we have Satanic Panic. This movie was re-released as Panic, which drove me nuts. But I happened to get, I think actually the slipcover had Panic. Anyway, what's up, Lucy? Oh, it's okay. You could always catch it on the rebound. I appreciate you stopping in and saying hello, though. Thank you very much. I do appreciate it. Satanic Panic is one that I want to check out. This is a horror comedy from, I don't know, last 10 years or so. 2019 this came out. There were a lot of good horror comedies from the last decade. Not many truly scary films for me, but a lot of things that made you laugh and push the boundaries a little bit here and there. Even though it was overall, I think, a pretty weak decade for horror, there's still some good ones here and there, and I have a feeling I'll enjoy this one. Gives me the babysitter vibes and, you know, all that kind of stuff. We Summon the Darkness kind of thing, which came out the same year, which is a really good film. Saturn 3. I love this cover. It's always confused me because I'm not sure, is this a robotic desk lamp or is... I have seen this film, I have to be honest. I don't remember very much of it at all. I just remember Kirk Douglas battling this android-like robot on this space station. Harvey Keitel is kind of a bad guy. Honestly, I don't remember much from this movie, which says what you need to say, probably. Farrah Fawcett's in this. It's got Elmer Bernstein music, which is always good. Sega Saturn 3. Yeah, there you go. Something is watching, waiting, and wanting on Saturn 3. Kind of reminds me of, it's sort of, kind of similar to, what's that movie, that Hardware. That's what it reminds me of. It came out earlier than Hardware, much earlier. I think it's 1980, if memory serves me correctly. Here we have Saw, the complete movie collection. This has, I would say, all 7 films, but that is now a lie. Because we have, what? We have Saw 7, we have Saw 8, which is Jigsaw, we have Spiral, we have a new Saw 10. I think there's 10 films now, if I'm not mistaken. One of which I have here. I don't have Spiral. The only reason why I want to own it is for completionist's sake, which I am a completionist when it comes to this stuff. If I'm being honest, I know it's irrational, but it's true. Here we have the best film in the series, which is still the first film. This one came out around the time of Spiral and was promoting it, but that's a disgrace on the box because this is actually a good film. And Spiral is one of the worst films that I have seen from this decade. If it was even this decade, it might have been 2019. I don't remember. I think it was 2020. But yeah, 04 seems like ages ago, lifetimes ago, and it is in some ways, culturally speaking, and just the way the world is with the internet and everything moving way too fast. Feels like ages ago. But yeah, this is a classic at this point. This is a classic film with a great twist that still gets me. I mean, I know it's coming, but it still floors me with how they handle it and how they shoot around it. James Wan really reinvented a genre here with this film and honestly set the standard for the rest of the decade with its extreme dive into horror and more realistic gore as opposed to the 80s and 90s, which was working within its limitations, but a lot of the gore is used for comedic purposes or absurd, over-the-top purposes, where it's easy to suspend your disbelief. But with these films, Terrifier is the most modern example that is just hard to watch sometimes because it's so damn realistic. The practical effects, the prosthetics have come so far. But this film really is emblematic of the decade that it came out, and it reflects a society that was getting a little bit more desensitized, a little bit more extreme, a little bit more internally violent, and this film speaks to all of that. It's a great film. I give it a 4 out of 5. It's not a masterpiece, but it's a very good one. Here we have Jigsaw, which I've yet to see. I can't really speak on it, guys. But I will say it's directed by the Spierig brothers, who directed Predestination, which I really enjoy. Really trippy science fiction thriller. Here we have, finally, I picked up the Criterion of Scanners, here by David Cronenberg, a film that I have seen twice. I give it a 3 out of 5, but I can never really give it more than that. I'm not exactly sure. It's a fun movie. It's a little over the top. It's a little bit more mainstream and accessible than the majority of David Cronenberg's films. Those might be factors as to why I don't enjoy it as much. It's not as fucking weird as some of his other films are, which is why he's one of my favorite directors of all time, top 5. And yeah, I do want to rewatch this at some point. It's got tons of special features as per usual with the Criterion stuff. And yeah, I like it. It's about, telekinetic powers that allow people to do things with their mind. And there's multiple of these types of people and they start battling for power. And yeah, on paper, it's great. I never fall in love with it every time I watch it. And here we have Scanners 2 and 3 from Scream Factory. I'm glad I own these. I picked this up in like a lot with Scanners 1, 2, and 3 for $20. It was worth the price of admission for the first one alone. So this one, I guess, delves deeper into the lore. Came out in 90 and 91. I am interested in seeing those. Some forgotten sequels here. So, very cool. Next up, we have Scare Me, which is a film I keep seeing on Shudder, and I just kind of pass it by. It's an anthology film, a horror comedy. I do want to check this out at some point. I forgot I even owned it on Blu-ray. Must have picked it up somewhere pretty recently. But yeah, there you go. Jolly Good says, I know you're becoming a horror person along with crime movies and adult stuff. Well, yeah, I mean, I've been a horror fan since I was since I was able to walk. Really, I watched Night of the Living Dead when I was 5, 6 years old. My mom thought it was, fine to show a young boy who was interested in in cinema. Here we have Scare Package. I believe this is another anthology film that I've yet to see. There's Joe Bob Briggs, though, making an appearance. Yeah, this is one I can't speak on, guys, because I haven't seen it. But I love the cover. It's a great killer homage to the 80s there. It reminds me of the cover for Video Dead. Here we have a film that I believe is one of the only Disney films that was put out that was even regarded somewhat as horror. Something Wicked, This Way Comes, Watcher in the Woods. There was a few, Mr. Boogedy. There's a few of them. This one I hear is legitimately scary. A lot of subscribers, a lot of my friends here on YouTube have recommended this film, and the fact that it's a pretty interesting little horror flick from the 70s from Disney. And I want to say it's late 70s. Yeah, it doesn't say on the back, but Disney doesn't like to date their movies because they're idiots. But yeah, Scarecrow of Romney Marsh. I love the title. Look forward to checking that out one day. Still sealed. Is it out of order? What out of order? What are we referring to there, buddy? No, I mean, these are in alphabetical order. Maybe I might have something slightly out of order. Sure, that happens, but yeah, I'm not sure. Disney Blu-ray. Well, like I said, this is supposed to be a horror movie. I can't verify that until I see it, but a lot of people have told me it's a great Disney TV horror film from the 70s. Here we have Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. I think I've seen some of this. I don't remember. Now that I'm looking at it, I think I've seen some of it. Yeah. Andre Overdahl, the guy who directed Troll Hunter. That's why I'm interested in it, because I love Troll Hunter. Here we have Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse. Honestly, probably my favorite Christopher Landon film. This one's a little bit more grounded. How do I say this? Christopher Landon has become the go-to comedy horror director. He did this. He wrote a film called Viral, which is not comedy, but he directed this. He also directed Freaky, Happy Death Day to You, and his newest film, I think, is called Drop. If I'm not mistaken, my brother watched it. He said it was pretty good. Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse is a really fun, Goonies-inspired zombie film with a bunch of young kids, taking on the zombie apocalypse when the adults are nowhere to be seen or are too stupid to know what the hell is going on. And this is a really fun film, hard R rating, nice and gory, nice little romance here. teen romance, all the good stuff that we want from a movie like this. It's a fun one. Check it out, guys. Yeah, summer's officially over. I feel it. My body usually lets me know. I have about 2 days of terrible allergies, and then it all clears up. Here we have Scream 1, 2, and 3, as well as 2 documentaries, Still Screaming and Scream, The Inside Story, of which those 2 I haven't seen. Scream, of course, I've seen many, many, many times. One of my favorite films of all time. One of the most nostalgic films for me. Remember watching this when I was like 10 years old when it came out, or 8, 9, 10 years old. My parents rented it, and they would allow me to watch it, but with them, so they can kind of guide me through, as parents used to do back in the old days. Scream is just a classic film franchise, of course. I love 1 and 2. 3, I like. 4, I like a lot. I think it's great. Wes Craven coming back and directing it. Here's number 4. Number 5 and 6, I think 5 is pretty good. 6 is less than pretty good, but not terrible. Got all that? Scream 4, honestly, was the last great one, in my opinion. Well, frankly, it was Wes Craven. And I think Bettinelli and Orpin or whatever his name is, the 2 directors that do the new ones are very talented directors. I just wish they didn't get roped up into a franchise. I really like their film Ready or Not, and I just wish they were doing more creative things, as opposed to just rehashing the same thing over and over and over with Scream. There's only so many times you could do it. It's become a parody of itself, which is ironic because the original film was a deconstruction and a parody in and of itself. And now it's just come full circle, and it's honestly pretty ridiculous. Here we have Secret Window, a really good Johnny Depp horror thriller. Very Stephen King inspired. I don't think... Oh, it was based on a story by King. There you go. I stand corrected. David Koepp, who wrote Jurassic Park, many great 90s classics, directs and writes this one here. So it's a tight script with good characters, good twists. Always keeps me engaged. Always a solid watch through. This is a fun psychological thriller about a writer in a cabin in the woods trying to get his work done. And John Turturro, this character right here, keeps accosting him and stalking him and kind of, psychologically torturing him, messing with him. Or is it all in his head? It's one of those kinds of stories. So here we have The Sentinel. The Sentinel is a stacked, in terms of its cast, film from 1977. And this, let me just read some of the... Chris Sarandon, Christina Rains, Martin Balsam, John Carradine, Jose Ferrer, Ava Gardner, Arthur Kennedy, Burgess Meredith, Sylvia Miles, Deborah Raffin, Eli Wallach. I mean, and it goes on and on. There's even more names here. You have Jerry Orbach, Beverly D'Angelo, Jeff Goldblum, Tom Berenger, Christopher Walken. This has to be the greatest cast ever assembled for a horror film. It's got to be up there. A lot of these guys were young and were getting their, cutting their teeth on stuff like this. But holy Mary Mother of God, what a cast. The cast is way better than the movie. The movie is atmospheric. It's not bad. It's got the satanic kind of thing going on, weird stuff going on in an attic. It's not a bad movie, but it is kind of boring at certain points. The last act is definitely fun and very good, but it's a bit of a slow burn despite all the big actors in it. Another slow burn that is more effective is Session 9, a film that a lot of people love. I can't quite get to the love, tier, but I do really like the film. And what I do love about this film is its atmosphere. What I don't love about the film is its characters. I felt like the characters could have been better. They're all kind of drab and similar. I understand that's part of what the director Brad Anderson is going for. I do like Peter Mullen. I think Peter Mullen's performance is the most interesting. But Brad Anderson, I always say he's from Connecticut, my home state. He's one of the only filmmakers I can name. DJ Caruso, Brad Anderson, those guys. And I do like, not DJ Caruso. David Caruso's in this. He's good. Josh Lucas is always good. Brendan Sexton III is good. They're all fine. It's just the characters I don't think are that interesting. I love the atmosphere. The story is weird and very slow burn and deals with mold, and occupational hazards and madness and isolation in a very similar way that The Thing does. It's not a bad movie. Every time I watch it, I don't fall in love. Here we have Seventh Moon. I have seen this, but I can't remember. Have I seen this? I think I have seen this guy. I don't remember a damn thing about this movie, if I'm being honest. Yeah, I watched it because I think Amy Smart is hot. And I like the Ghost House movies, and it's by the director, Eduardo Sanchez, who was one of the co-directors of Blair Witch. I do enjoy his films, but that one I don't remember much from. I like them more than Myrick's films, Daniel Myrick's films. Here we have Sergeant Kabuki Man, NYPD. This is a classic trauma film, which I have yet to see. I know, crazy. This is one of the big ones. Not necessarily horror. It's more like cop, crime, comedy kind of thing. Over the top, trauma, madness. I'm sure it's violent and ridiculous. But this is one of the few Lloyd Kaufman directed films that I've yet to see. So can't really speak on it too much. I'm sure it's culturally sensitive and non-offensive and totally reverent to its themes. Here we have a film that I really don't understand the love for. I've always said I'm a bit cold or lukewarm on Guillermo del Toro's work. I know that's shocking to a lot of people, but I think most of his films are good to very good, not great or masterpieces. Except for Pan's Labyrinth. I think Pan's Labyrinth is one of the greatest films of all time. I think he struck gold with that one. I love Kronos. I like Devil's Backbone. Those are the film... Kronos and Pan's Labyrinth are the two that I really enjoy. Now, I have a few 4Ks here and there. You know me. I don't have too many. When I see one, I pick it up. And if it's better than the Blu-ray, I keep it around. But Guillermo del Toro is a filmmaker. I really like Mimic. I give that movie a 3.5. Blade, I really like. That's like a 3.5 or 4. He didn't do Blade. He did Blade 2, which I don't like as much as Blade 1. Pacific Rim, I'm kind of lukewarm on. Crimson Peak did not impress me. The Shape of Water did not impress me, despite it winning Best Picture. I thought it was weird. I could not suspend my disbelief enough to believe that this young woman would fall in love with a literal monster. I get what it's going for, but it somehow handles it shakily and clumsily when compared to even something like King Kong. But I will rewatch it because I am a fan of Del Toro's work. I'm just not a super fan. I think his movies are good, for the most part, not great. Here we have 4-film Shark Collection, which has the classics Shark Attack 2, and Shark Attack 3. You guys know Shark Attack 3, right? A great film. And Shark Zone. I don't think that's related to the prior 3 here, but what am I doing with this? I don't know. Here we have Sharknado. I do want to check these out at some point, despite them becoming the poster child of post-exploitation films. And what I mean by that is films that go out of their way to look low budget or feel exploitative, but without having any of the actual things that make an exploitation film interesting. With that said, I do want to check these out. It's the trilogy. I think there's 6 of them now or something stupid. Here we have The Shiver of the Vampires. This is a Jean Rollin film that I've yet to see. I've only seen Grapes of Death, which I like quite a bit. I think I'm going to like Rollin's flavor of erotic horror more than, say, Jess Franco's style of erotic horror. It seems to be a bit classier and seems to actually attempt to tell stories, which is nice. Here we have Shivers, a movie that I have seen once and I really enjoyed. Early Cronenberg, really the first film where he delves into the body horror, which would symbolize his career, really. He is the body horror director, and he really dives into that, in this film, and after this film even more so. This is 1975. He's like fresh out of school at that point. He's directed a few feature films that are tiptoeing around body horror and horror in general, but Nothing quite like Shivers. Shivers is about STDs and, you know, safe sex and all that. It's a warning. It's a societal or warning allegory, as we used to, again, make in our society. So, yeah, Shivers. A great Canadian horror film. Yikes, a creepy woman in the bathtub. Yeah, that reminds me of The Shining, which would have come right before Shiver. Anyway, Shock 'em Dead is a little 80s or late, actually it's 1990, I'm learning there. I thought it was late 80s. I don't know much about this. I know it's a B movie. I know it knows it's a B movie. I'll check it out at some point. I'm going to do one more, and then I'm going to take a small break because I am making rice, and I want to make sure I'm not burning it. Shock Treatment. It's from the creators of Rocky Horror Picture Show, so I can't watch this if I haven't watched Rocky Horror, so that's why it's still sealed. But I do own it on Blu-ray. Here's Johnny. That's right. All right, so I'll be right back, folks. Bear with me 1 second. All right. Thank you, guys. That was some good rice, so I'm going to eat that after I'm done here. Here we have Shocker. Shocker is a Wes Craven film here that deals with a prisoner who is put to death and then comes back from the grave and starts wreaking havoc on the people that put him in the chair. This is a big statement on capital punishment and weighs the morality of capital punishment and the death penalty in really clever ways. We need a Wes Craven in our modern era, somebody who tackles controversial societal issues in an unwavering and fearless way. I miss Wes Craven for that, and this is one of them. With all that said, though, it's still just a fun, over-the-top at points little slasher film with a great performance by Mitch Pileggi. Here we have Shrunken Heads. This is a full moon film I've yet to see, and it's directed by Richard Elfman, the director of Forbidden Zone, which is interesting. Richard Elfman is the brother of Danny Elfman. Richard Elfman is also a filmmaker and musician and all that. I think they may have both been in the band Oingo Boingo. I know Danny was. I'm pretty sure his brother was. But yeah, this looks right up my alley. It looks ridiculous. Look at all that. Full moon. Can't go wrong. Here we have Shudder. I just recently watched the, what is it? Indonesian film or... Yeah, I want to say it was Indonesian film. Was it? I forget, guys. It doesn't even put the original director... is a Japanese horror director. So he's directing an American remake of an Indonesian, or I'm sorry, Thai horror film. It's Thai. That's what it is, from Thailand. Very strange. I haven't seen it, but the Thai film is very good. Shutter Island. I love this film. Just drenched in atmosphere. Such a great classic whodunit mystery, or not whodunit, but just a mystery thriller that keeps you guessing the entire time and has such a killer twist that just floors me. I love this film. It's atmospheric. Again, it drips of fog and you know, decrepit cells and mentally ill patients. It takes place on an island where there is a mental institution, and great cast. To watch a Scorsese horror movie is quite a treat. I wish he would do more. Here we have The Signal, a very, very popular Canadian horror film about a signal that makes people go crazy and kind of turn into, you know, zombie-like things. I haven't seen this in some time. I remember it having a non-linear narrative structure that was a little jarring for me at the time. I remember walking out of this enjoying it, but not loving it. But the directors have gone on to do other things, like David Bruckner. He's a horror director these days. 4K came out when you were in high school. There you go. Here we have Silent House. This is actually a remake of a Spanish language film. I want to say Argentine or Chilean. One of those. I don't think it was from Spain, but I could be wrong. Yeah, I don't know much about this. The claim to fame for the original Spanish language one was that it was shot in one take. I'm not sure if this follows suit, but that's honestly why I'd want to see it. It was really one of the first examples of that in horror. Here we have Silent Night, Deadly Night, which is a film that I do enjoy. I think it's a fun Christmas film. Not a great Christmas horror film, but a fun one. And it's the theatrical cut, which is weird. It doesn't, it does also have the unrated one there. So I'm not sure which one I've seen, but it's not bad. It's a little jarring in terms of its tonal shifts, but I enjoy it for what it is. Here we have Sinister, a movie that I thought was good, not great. I don't remember too much of the details. It had some creepy bits here and there. Scott Derrickson is a bit of a hack, in my opinion. Sinister 2. Kieran Foy directs this one. I have not seen Sinister 2. I will at some point when I rewatch the first one. El esqueleto de la señora Morales. This is the skeleton of Señora Morales, Miss Morales, which is a classic Mexican horror film, which I am so happy and grateful to own on Blu-ray. I had the DVD, and I sold it off to get the Blu-ray at a time when it was affordable. I would assume something like this is going for quite a bit now. But yeah, one of the 100 best Mexican films of all time, critics say. 19 on the list of 100 best films in Mexican cinema. So that's pretty serious attribution there. So I do want to check this out at some point. It came out in the 60s. It's black and white, so you can't go wrong with that. Here we have Sleepaway Camp, a classic slasher film with one of those endings that you'll never forget. Controversial to some, awesome to others. I am in the latter camp. I think it's a great and mind-boggling ending that has implications that really ripple throughout the rest of the film in retrospect. If you rewatch it, you'll see what I mean. It's an interesting slasher that a lot of people remember just for the twist, but it's a very good over-the-top slasher that is emblematic of the era that it came out in. And honestly, 83 is pretty ahead of its time. I think this one is great, and it's got a great lead girl there who would go on to be a bit of a scream queen. So there you go, Felissa Rose, that's her name. She comes back for the sequels here. 2 is almost like a parody of the first, almost like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre style parody of the first. Very fun, very silly at points, kind of leans into the B-movie tropes. And as you can see there, it's got the chainsaw, it's got Jason's mask, it's got Freddy's glove, and they somehow got away with it. And then 3, I gotta be honest, I've yet to see. These are still sealed because I used to own all 3 on Scream Factory. But they were worth way, way, way too much for me to have in the collection when 88 Films, who does just as good of a job, put them out as well. I got them for a fraction of the cost. Here we have Sleepwalkers. Stephen King's Sleepwalkers, a weird film. I like it because it's unique. And it's not zombies. It's not vampires. It's actually cat people. Cats, you turn into this anthropomorphic giant cat. And you're going around doing cat-like things. They call them sleepwalkers. Matcham Amick is in this. She was gorgeous, or is gorgeous. Alice Krieg. Brian Krause is in this. It's not bad. It's not, if I'm being honest, it's not a great film. The cover is better than the film itself. Based on a Stephen King short story, though. So happy to own this. This is Slime City and Slime City Massacre. I love Slime City. I'll never forget the first time I watched it. Late one night. I think I got home from something, and it was like super late, but I wanted to watch something and kind of doze off to it, so I chose this shot-on-video little B-movie, and I was transfixed the whole time through. It's like a 70-minute movie made on no budget, very New York kind of film, 1989. It is a cult classic. I love the original Slime City Massacre, or Slime City. Slime City Massacre is a sequel that came out in 2010 by the same director. And so therefore, I do want to check it out, but I've yet to see it. So there you go. It's kind of like Street Trash, where he directed it in the 80s, and then he came back to direct a sequel. Here we have Smiley. I love that creature design. That is just the creepiest fucking thing in the world. Honestly, it's really creepy to me. The mask, not so much, but if it's like his face, yeah, that's fucked up. This was one of the first movies I remember a YouTuber being in, and that is, what's his name? Shane Dawson. Not my thing at all. It's the antithesis of my thing, frankly. But Keith David is in this. It's a little teen slasher from last decade, from the YouTube era. So I want to check it out. Here we have Special Effects, a film I've yet to see by Larry Cohen. No, you know what? I think I have seen this, haven't I? Yes, I have seen this. It's not bad. It's pretty good. I don't remember too much of the details, I gotta be honest, but I watched so many films, guys. This one didn't stick with me, and probably for a reason. I usually love Larry Cohen's films, God Told Me To, and so many other great, biting political and social satires. Special Effects is one that I need to rewatch, clearly, because I don't remember too much of the details. Here we have one of the great films of all time, quite a social commentary, heavy-handed as can be, but stylistic in its heavy-handedness, if that makes sense. Society is one of the great 80s classics. I love this film. It is so disgusting. It'll make you puke. It'll make you think. It'll have you on the edge of your seat trying to figure out what the fuck is going on in this fucked up town. It's one of those, the kids know what's going on before the adults kind of do, or are the adults in on what's going on, and so they're trying to hide it. It's one of those types of films of which, is a whole subgenre in and of itself. It's a great film, and I think has one of the greatest endings of any horror film of all time. Absolutely, in terms of special effects. This is Screaming Mad George with some of the great effects ever. Here's a little slasher that I picked up at a thrift shop years ago. It's the Spanish version, actually, Spanish language. I believe it came from Spain, but it's all region and has some great gore effects, as it looks like on the back there, but I've yet to see it. I watched maybe the first act of this one late night and passed out, but I haven't finished it. Here we have Some Kind of Hate by Adam Egypt Mortimer. I picked this up after watching Daniel Isn't Real, which was, I thought, a very interesting art house horror film that doesn't get caught up in its art housiness or its pretension. It just kind of tells a good and interesting story with good characters, including Arnold Schwarzenegger's son. Some Kind of Hate I found at the Dollar Tree shortly after watching Daniel Isn't Real, and I was like, yeah, I will take that. I don't know much about it, though. Sorority Babes in the Slimeball Bolorama, which is a great title with a great cover, and it's a great little fun, short, full moon foray into bowling alley horror, which I've seen a couple of them, and I like the subgenre. I haven't seen Gutterballs, probably one of the most famous ones, but yeah, Slimeball Bolorama is a classic film that you've got to see. It's got boobs, it's got little creatures, it's got gore, it's got fun teen, quote-unquote, characters played by adults. David Dakota directs this, and I think it's one of Full Moon's best movies, and I knew I had to pick that up on Blue. Here we have Sorority Row. This is a classic. This is kind of a reboot of a classic horror film. I saw this in theaters back when it came out in 2010, so I must have been 12, I was 22, so early 20s. I remember enjoying it for what it was with a group of friends, a silly slasher film, but haven't seen it in many, many years, so I do want to rewatch it. I definitely like House on Sorority Row a bit more. Here we have a film that I yearned over watching, I fawned over in the video stores in the 90s because the original cover, which they don't use anymore, had a naked woman in the fetal position. Go away, go away, go away, go away, go away, go away. Come on, man, go. Sorry, guys. Here we have, again, Species. This had a cover of a woman, naked woman, in a fetal position, and as a young boy and getting into horror and women, I always wanted to rent this, and my mom wouldn't let me because of the naked woman. Roger Donaldson directs this, a very reputable filmmaker from Australia, I want to say. I've seen a bunch of his films, including Dante's Peak and some of his Aussie stuff with, what's the one with Sam Neill? Sleeping Dogs, which is a really good one. Yeah, he keeps trying to jump on me, and I'm not having that. So anyway, Species is a film that I don't love every time I watch it, but I'm hoping one day it clicks for me. I like it. I think it's fun. It's just not great. Spider Baby is one of my favorite 60s horror films. This is the very early example of a horror comedy at a time when there weren't too many of them. Very reminiscent of the old Dark House. You've got all these creepy characters. I believe Tobe Hooper is a fan of this because it just has Tobe Hooper written all over it. It was a big influence on him. It's very clear to me. Weird, quirky characters. Even the dinner scene in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I think, is ripped from Spider Baby, or maybe they're all ripped from Old Dark House. I'm not exactly sure. But this is a great movie. It even has Montan Moreland, the great old African-American actor who was in a lot of films like the Curse of the Zombies. What's it? Oh, damn it. I can't remember the zombie film he's in, but I love his performance in it. He's so funny and over the top. In a time where there weren't too many black actors that were lead roles in movies, Montan Moreland was breaking that mold. Some could say that's a little bit cliche and offensive in that way, but I don't think so. I think it was great. I think he was great, and he plays a role in this as an older man. That's actually Sid Haig down there. He's Montan Moreland is the caretaker of this creepy house. You have these creepy spider sisters here. It's Jack Hill, who was known for Foxy Brown and some of his blaxploitation stuff, but also directed a couple great horror films. Here we have Spiders. This came from my late father's collection. When he passed away, I got this one. Tabor Cox makes some fun B movies. Spiders is one of them. I have seen it. Splinter, I just rewatched. Talk about one of the greatest monsters ever put to film. It's such a unique organism. It's a mold that is highly adaptable and malleable and capricious, dynamic. It's always changing its shape. It's a shapeshifter, but it's indicated by its splinters that splinter off of the creature that it's the host it's trying to invade, to try to invade other hosts. And it's just so cool from a scientific standpoint, which our main character is a doctor and tries to explain some of it pretty smartly at points, if not a little latent. But yeah, this is a great Toby Wilkins horror film from 07 or 08. Yes, 08. And I just rewatched this a couple weeks ago, and it holds up really, really well. I love the three characters and how they interact in this film. You have the badass final girl. You have the dude who is kind of, has his own strengths, but is not very courageous. Then you have this guy who's a firecracker, who's a bit of a criminal, but comes around to their side at a point when they realize that there's a bigger bad out there. It's a great monster movie, guys. You got to check it out. Here we have Squirm, a Jeff Lieberman film. I just completed my Jeff Lieberman viewing, filmography, I should say, that I've seen all 5 or 6 of his films at this point. He didn't do too many. But Squirm was one of his early ones, and it's a great little creature feature that will skeeve you out if you don't like earthworms or insects. I'm sure many earthworms were harmed in the making of this film. In fact, I have read stories about them depleting the earthworm population of the Northeast in order to make this film. That seems not like a good idea, a very playing God sort of, interrupting with nature's processes kind of thing. Who knows what negative implications that had or ramifications that had. But they made a cool horror movie out of it with more worms than you will ever want to see in your entire life. It is disgusting. And that scene right there, ugh, it's such a great effect. Saint Agatha, I got this from Dollar Tree years ago. I haven't seen it. Stag Night, I own this because it's a Ghost House Pictures, and really the only film that I think Scott Adkins is in that is a horror film. This is a stalker kind of humanist horror film. I've yet to see it, though. Stage Fright is a remake of, or kind of like a spiritual successor to an old film called Aquarius. Stage Fright, which was directed by Michael Suavi, which I've yet to see. I've seen a bit of it, but I passed out about a quarter of the way through, so I need to go back and rewatch it. That happens often. But yeah, this one I have yet to see because I want to rewatch the original. Yeah, Earthworms, Rugrats. I see what you're doing there. Here we have Stir of Echoes, a really solid little early aughts horror film based on a short story by Richard Matheson, one of my favorite writers of all time. Kevin Bacon is in this, and it's a very good psychological thriller with ghostly elements to it. Again, Richard Matheson wrote the original novel, and David Koepp writes and directs this one as well. And we just talked about a film that Koepp wrote, which I have now forgotten because I'm stupid. So next up, we have a Jun Bong-ho film, which is Stoker, or no, Chan-wook Park film. Sorry, I get my South Korean directors mixed up sometimes. Stoker was a pretty boring movie that I didn't really understand, and thus I want to give it another shot because I like Chan-wook Park's movies, especially Old Boy, things like that. I didn't really understand what the hell this was trying to do. The Strangers, not really my type of humanist horror, but not a bad movie. It's got creepy elements to it, plays with space in a pretty interesting way. Kind of reminds me of Kiyoshi Kurosawa's way, sort of style of playing with space. This movie does it pretty well. That's his strongest suit, I would say. 2 movies in one, includes theatrical version. That's a little misleading. But yeah, there's a whole, there's 5 of these now. There's even a new one coming out soon. There's one of the newer ones, or there's 3 or 4 of them. I don't know, and I don't really care, but I will check them out at some point, just not rushing out to do so. Here we have one of my favorite 80s classics here, Street Trash. I love this movie. It has a scene of a severed penis being thrown like a football. Yes, that is the type of thing you're getting into with this 80s gore splatter classic with all sorts of colored gore and explosions of blood and pus and neon colors coming out of people's faces. And it's all because some bum drinks this viper alcohol that turns out to be this poison that turns everybody into cannibalistic zombies and melts them, and more so melts them down to nothing. It's such a great film. Like I said, this got a reboot or a remake or a spiritual successor, I guess, in the last couple years, I would say, by the same director. So I do want to check that out at some point soon. Yeah, his face is really messed up on the back. Exactly. Look at that. No longer a face even. That's funny. Here we have Student Bodies, a film that I want to watch soon. I've been going down this little horror movie parody rabbit hole, and I want to say this was probably the first to really start parodying horror. It came out in 81. I mean, a year after Friday the 13th, which it parodies. So it's right on the money with that. And yeah, I want to check this out. I love the cover. I think the cover's funny and a little sexy in only the way that the late 70s, early 80s could provide. The Stuff is one of my favorite horror films of all time. Yeah, Pretty Bored or Pretty Dead, jolly good. Larry Cohen directs this film. It's probably my favorite Larry Cohen film. It's just so much fun. It's kind of like, it's a little boy in a neighborhood where the neighborhood's gone batty, and he's trying to figure it out, but no one believes him because everybody's kind of in on it. That's kind of, that kind of a child paranoia, boy who cried wolf type of story. And it follows this, it's a big statement on consumerism and the garbage that we put into our foods and thus in our bodies. And it was way ahead of its time in 86. So I love this film. It's brisk, brief. It gets the job done. It's got a fun main character in the kid. And it's got just some crazy, crazy sequences. Definitely inspired by The Blob, too. So there you go. The Blob with consumerist criticisms. Here we have Subspecies 1 and 2. I have yet to see these guys, so I can't really speak on them. These are full moon classics from what I hear. Angus Scrimm is in this one. Angus Scrimm, of course, from Phantasm. And yeah, it's got little creatures like most full moon things do, but I think they're mostly vampire flicks, if I'm not mistaken. Here we have an early Wes Craven TV horror movie. This is Summer of Fear with Linda Blair. I like Linda Blair in almost everything I've seen her in when it comes to genre stuff like Hell Night and obviously The Exorcist. And Repossessed. I like Repossessed too. Wes Craven directs this. I don't know much about it. 78. There you go. Favorite Rugrats episodes. Oh, that's hard. I don't really remember many episodes per se. I remember a lot of details, but yeah. here we. If I thought about it, I would be able to come up with some. But Sundown, The Vampire in Retreat. This is an Anthony Hickox film, a filmmaker that I do enjoy his work. I love Waxwork 1 and 2, Waxworks 1 and 2. They're really fun, kind of variety horror movies that they go in and out of different, wax museum exhibits, essentially, and transport through time. Sundown is a vampire flick with David Carradine and Bruce Campbell that I've really, honestly, I haven't seen. I think I saw the first 20 minutes or so, and it was very clammy and very hazy kind of introduction with these sweaty characters, old characters with sunglasses. I don't remember much about this, but I do want to watch it because it looks up my alley, and it has some really cool stop motion effects that I have seen in like shorts and whatnot. Super Hell, the Johnny Walker collection. I picked up one late night for like $4 shipped on Amazon. Back when I used to shop on Amazon 20 years ago. I haven't shopped on Amazon in about 10 years now. So, but yeah, I really, let's see, I really like the Adults from Rugrats. Yeah, the Adults from Rugrats definitely take on a new meaning as you get older. This is one of the worst horror films I have in the Blu-ray collection. There's no question about it. I've only seen the first one. I watched it with my buddy, and they're just really low budget, stupid, awful, nothing really to talk about. Trippy, fever dream-like movies. I don't know. It's weird. I'm kind of happy to have it in the collection because they're so obscure. But this one, the last one here, I've yet to see, guys, so I can't really speak on this one either. My cat did a number on it. Luckily, it doesn't look like he got to the artwork. Well, yeah, he did. He did get to the artwork. This is why I'm not too much of a fan of cats, because they just destroy your things. And you tell them no, and they don't learn, unlike dogs. Or humans, or most other creatures. Mammals. This is from 1933, guys. So we're talking a super early horror comedy, if I'm not mistaken. So Victor Halperin directs this. Actually, he directed White Zombies. So there you go. There you go. So I haven't seen it, but I would like to. All right, guys. Well, that is going to do it for this live stream, guys. I hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you for sticking with me. I really enjoy doing these, so I'm going to come up with a schedule, and I think I'm going to aim for Monday and Thursday to be my 2 days where I live stream. Not too many people showed up and in the chat today, which is, disappointing, but I can't control that. Maybe Monday's a better day for this, but I do appreciate everybody who has been watching. Feel free to let's try to get this video up to 10 thumbs up if you don't mind. I would appreciate that very much. It helps me with exposure and with growing the channel, which I am trying to do. So, but, not much time to do so. So, I really appreciate all you guys, especially Jolly Good. Thank you so much for tuning in there and chatting. I really appreciate it. So, I will see you all very, very soon. Until next time, Bored Cyborg is out. I should get a new Blu-ray case. You're right, Jolly Good. Peace out. Take it easy, guys.